Let's do the bill, everyone. Yay. Oh,
How about the antler dance? Can we all do the antler dance?
do the finger one more time, Robert. Okay, so now I know. So now I know what I can put for the open mic screenshot next time. Welcome to Stone Soup Poetry. It's a post-holiday silliness, and yet we still have people who are putting up Valentine's Day decorations in certain places. They're not even waiting for the umbilical cord to be cut off of Jesus. So for those of you who appreciate the month of nothing, thank you. I appreciate you too. Oh, thanks, Robert. Thanks for going retro on us. But for those of you who appreciate the quiet white noise of January, you've come to the right place. No more Christmas wars. They're over. I guess no one won. But anyway, I guess Valentine's Day won, because Valentine's Day decorations were up as early as last week at the canteen at the hospital I work at. But enough dwelling on that.
We do have Martin Luther King Day. Martin Luther King Day is in January.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I like Martin Luther King Day.
But they don't hold effigies. They don't hang up effigies of him, or if they do, it's for all the wrong reasons. So I'm just saying, it's usually considered a decorationless month.
Well, my goal from my career was to actually have Martin Luther King Day off, and I sort of managed it for a couple of years before I retired, so that makes it all worthwhile.
Okay, so we are going to organize new decorations for Martin Luther King Day. That's a wonderful idea.
Don't forget the Martin Luther King candy.
Oh God, what would that look like?
Or the caroling, going door to door, singing civil rights carols.
I like the idea of that. Actually, that would be kind of cool. Knock on the door and sing "We Shall Overcome," or "Eyes on the Prize" or something. That'd be kind of fun.
Well, it should be called the Overcome Bar.
Oh boy. 2 flavors, regular and sugar-free at last. All right, we are okay. I've done enough tasteless jokes. We are post-Christmas and we are post-2022. I'm glad you all made it. We're gonna celebrate with a nice, quiet, open mic tonight. And yes, John, sugar-free at last. We are, so let's get to it. 2 round robins, that we can all go to bed and shake off our lingering hangovers. My hangovers came from doing 50 downward dogs in a row for the first hour of yoga. It was brutal. But then I got the rest on my side for, well, quite frankly, for the rest of the night. I think my girlfriend carried me home. Anyway,
child's pose, Chad.
Yeah.
Child's pose.
Definitely child's pose. But all right, so what do we have? Oh, I gotta go to the Ramdinator 5000 and see who we can pick. And I have a feeling I'm gonna have to go to the share screen options and allow for other people to join us, because it looks like the Ramdinator 5000 has chosen Mr. Robert Fleming. So give me 1 second, sir, and I will get you ready, sir. Okay, Mr. Robert Fleming, everybody.
Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming, a word artist from Delaware. And since we were talking about poetry in multiple languages, I will start by sharing my English-Italian poem. Pinocchio at the Pietranta Marble Quarry. Marmo David Carne. All David wants to do is pose. Con Michel Marmos. Marble David flesh. All Michel wants is Davy. Flesh Michel Marble. So that was the only Italian poem I ever wrote. And I just submitted for this magazine, Dance Macabre, to be the artist for the next issue. And you had to submit a minimum of 13 of art pieces. I'm going to share some of them which I submitted. So here we come. Why it's not going. Okay. So this is the first one. It's called Satan's Pitchfork. And the words are hell, hex, and hex. And I created the pitchfork using the software package called Canva. And this is the same image, but instead of gray, I used green. Hex, hell, hex. And this is called Limbo Pitchfork. I think it's the best one in the series. Hell going up and heaven going down. And this is a word art called White Resurrection. Life, if, a, they, a, death, eight, H, A, TH, HE, IF, life, life. So that's life to death to life. And I'll just show this other example, which is the opposite of the last one. It's called Noir Resurrection. It's death to life to death, but the spacing of the words are the same. So thank you for letting me share part of my submission for Danse Macabre. And I hope that the publisher will like my art for their magazine.
Good luck with that. Art submissions for poetry magazines is, is actually competitive, given that no one pays for them. you have people like Ira Joe Haber, who sends out to like 60 magazines in a year, and he gets published in like maybe 20. Up next, we are going to unmute or ask to unmute. She can do it herself. Our one phone contributor tonight. Let's give it up for Nancy Dotson.
Joy. Joy means love. Riverbeds overflow with water. The sun sparkles with no melancholy. Pleasure simulates joy. Joy is the buoyance of life. My spirit has joy, and its current abide within. Communicate life. Respond to love. Unconquerable gladness dwells within you. Joy.
Thank you, Nancy. Welcome back. Happy 2023. And now let's bring it on over to our Legacy Poet Returns. Let's welcome Miss Julian Powers.
Distance. In the quiet of any evening, I can hear the whistle in the distance. The sound brings me back to an old home I had across from the tracks years ago, the next town over. Now here I only hear the train faintly, where its ghostly tune is only heard as it fades into the night, where its echo murmuring so softly while it passing by. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. Let's bring us now to the newly employed. Congratulations again, sir, Mr. Ed Galt, otherwise known as Magister Galt. And take it away, sir.
He's the new
You-
Speaker of the House.
Thank you very much. I think I'm unmuted, aren't I? It just looks like I'm unmuted.
You are.
Okay,
You were such an oppose
Okay,
right here.
all
You were
right.
such an oppose. I thought you were a picture. I thought it was
No.
crazy.
Thank you. Now, this one is called Staying Behind. Somewhere there is a classroom. There are around 20 or so desks for the children. A larger desk is up front for the teacher. But there are only 2 people there now. A girl is sitting at her desk working on arithmetic problems. Nearby is
Oh, Ed, you might want to start again. We lost you. I don't know if you want to change positions in the house, but
over her while the class is away. She will take her recess. She will play with the kid that day. They will go on the field day. I'm sorry.
you
What's
might
that?
want
I'm sorry.
you might want to start again because we lost you for some reason. You're back now, but there seemed to be some kind of lag.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me. I don't know whether it's the internet or the place I'm in.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Well, try again.
okay. Staying behind. Somewhere there is a classroom. There are around 20 or so desks for the children. A larger desk is up front for the teacher, but there are only 2 people there now. A girl is sitting at her desk working on arithmetic problems. Nearby is a teacher's aide to watch over her while the class is away. She will take her to the cafeteria for lunch, then the library. For recess, she will play with kids from the next class who are in attendance for that day. They will go on the field trips tomorrow, or they went yesterday. She will not go at all. She will be taken away at her desk until she completes the sheet. Thank you.
That worked. Thank you so much, Ed.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Magister, who I think Robert called you the new Speaker of the House. You might want to check up on that. You might have gotten some votes. But up next, and now for something completely different, let's welcome up someone in the 2023 spirit who's going to be moving soon. Changing it all soon. Let's welcome up Mr. Bill Lewis.
How, pray tell, could you possibly think such a thing of me, Mr. Chadford, that I should depart to you and abandon you to the abyss that would lie without me? No, no, sir. I shall be bothering on Zoom until the day you crash into the grave, sir. You will be dark and buried before you can get rid of me. I am going to record myself and have myself Zoom on. I'm going to have one of those AI programs make up poems which I will recite, and probably better than poems I do already. You will never be rid of me.
I was just saying you're moving from Cambridge, correct?
June 1st, I have given up my apartment and I shall move to Idaho, Priest River, Idaho. Whew. 2023, we did it. We made it. We are a success. We weathered our trials, overcame our tribulations. We stand atop the mountain and gaze down at the glories that we have built. Me, you, us together. We're the ones who built them. We helped each other, which is a glory in all itself. Yes, 2023, we built you. You belong to us. You are our year. And what are we going to do with you, you may ask, little year? Oh, 23, you will not be like 22. No, 30, 23 will be known in future generations as the year of the Chad, the year of the Magister Golf, the year of the Julianne Powers, the year of the Roberts, and the Jan, and the James, and the Nancy, and the Mackler, and the John, and even the year of me. Think of that. We are building the future, a better future. We are building it right now, right here with our fellow poets. And when we're out there, we're building it with the rest of the world. The future is ours. It is our oyster. So let us indulge. 2023, bring it on.
Thank you, Bill. And now we're going to go to our hard-boiled poet and author. Let's bring it over to Mr. John Wezek.
Hard boiled. Okay, well, the camera is coming on or something. Here it is. Okay, good. My car sits alone on Christmas Day. The salt-stained pavement empty of those spreading COVID to friends and family. Santa brought chemical fumes this year, so I hole up in a hotel room with the refrigerator wheezing like an asthmatic. Merry Christmas to the lone desk clerk. Merry Christmas to the hard-boiled eggs at the breakfast buffet. HBO, frozen dinners, Philip Marlowe, what more is there? Dull conversation, dumb opinions, a necktie under the Christmas tree? Count my blessings. Santa brought cancer and MS to some. Still, it's a bad sign being this alone, the invisible hand having moved me from square to square on the monopoly board of market capitalism. A bad sign that I no longer care. Take that, Christmas wars.
That's the everything wars right there. Thank you, John. And let's bring it over now to Jan Rowe.
Hi, I'll read from this weekly Black Seed for January 3rd. It's a report on the 33rd annual remembrance. To begin the longest night, the winter solstice service at Church on the Hill across from the State House. The 33rd annual remembrance of those dying homeless, those dying alone, or those we miss. Bryant and I had to be in the sanctuary as we were in the service reading. Seems we were being awaited. However, to get from the second floor to the first with a walker and an oxygen tank, we got on the elevator, but we kept going up to the 18th floor, then returning to the second repeatedly as time for the service neared. Finally, a wonderful person got into the elevator with us and got us into the service. So we entered the sanctuary from the front, where everyone seated was facing. I somehow got entangled in the curtain. I don't know how Bryant did with the walker and the O2 tank with his curtain as I was trying to get out of the tangle. I was reminded of Toto pulling the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. Later, I realized we were the comic relief, like in Shakespeare's tragedies, as it's been difficult all these years to even get a count of how many died. That's so tragic. So my getting trapped in the curtain and fighting my way out, Bryant and I made quite the entrance. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan, give me 1 second. Looks like we have one addition to the open mic. But before we introduce them, let's introduce our musical interlude tonight with the feeling much better, Ethan Meckler.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Back to you, Chad.
Oof. I like that. I like that primacy feel to it. That was great. Almost wanted to sing along, those damn blue collar tweakers, they're running this damn town. Okay. Awesome. All right, and now I get to unmute our latest participant. Let's welcome up Miss Carol Weston.
Oh, God almighty. I'm not ready. Okay, I'll try to read this. This is my bio.
Okay.
Dear good people, how on earth can I write my life with its extraordinary lapses and its extraordinary leaps in 250 words? I was born in Boston in 1934. I had a magnificent teacher at Bennington, Ben Bellett, in verse writing. I had Robert Lowell at Boston University in 1955, who said I should send poems to poetry in Chicago with his recommendation. At Breadloaf in 1959, the poet George Barker was my advisor. He was anthologized by Yeats when he was 24. Through William Leo Copley, who I met at Breadloaf, I met the poetry editor, Oscar Williams. Oscar recorded me reading my poems for a future record and submitted a poem of mine to the Farley Dickinson Literary Review, the Poets Under 40 issue, where it appeared with poems of Anne Sexton and Donald Justice, etc. I worked at Pilgrim State Hospital for 3 years. And then at the Chestnut Hill School for 10 years. I married John Galloway for 39 years. Well, actually, it's 50. Retired professor of astronomy and cosmology and poet. Let's see. So published in Tilt, an anthology of New England writing and art, Atelier, Writers Unite, and my chapbook with Stone Soup, Jack Powers. Just a minute, there's a wrinkle I can't read. Oh, so Jack published Spiral Whorl Sutra Scepter, my book, and he did a lot of work. And let's see. Oh yeah. So I read with Allen Ginsberg on my right, and we were reading the poems of Steve Jonas, jazz poet, and then I read at City Hall with John Wieners. Unfortunately, he had held the book upside down and kind of didn't read poetry at all. But and everybody was there to hear him. The Hayden Planetarium, did a reading at the Hayden Planetarium. So forth. Sorry, I couldn't. The page is so wrinkled. I couldn't read it. And I thought it was a joke biography, but I've got to find the joke biography because that one isn't funny. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Carol. And now let's bring us to Mr. James Van Looy for closing out the first round of this round robin. Someone had joined us very briefly, but it looks like they are not with us anymore. So hopefully, maybe they'll come back, maybe not, but we're going to continue as if the list is the same as it was 5 minutes ago, which it is. All right, take it, James.
Okay. So I have a poem here called "Making the Bed." It's actually a sonnet. The ever spinning sheet on bed of midnight, two huddling forms, simpatico, completely spirit-led, twisting, listing like colony of worms. Time on time I go to make that bed, only to find that cute female form of my rouser mate has again now led to the sheet 90 degrees like a worm, rearranging herself on our floating bed, where there's nothing to platonic form that has managed to manifest when led to this magic moment sheet as worm, who at once covers us in the corporeal warmth as it makes the wormhole real. So, and
bravo!
Thank you very much, Bill. And here's the song that goes with it. I stand at your gate, and the song that I sing is of moonlight. I stand and I wait for the touch of your hand in the June light. The roses are sighing a moonlight serenade. The stars are aglow, and tonight how their light sets me dreaming. My love, do you know that your eyes are like stars brightly beaming? I bring you and I sing you a moonlight serenade. Let us stray till the break of the day in love's valley of dreams. Just you and I, a summer sky, a heavenly breeze kissing the trees. So let me wait, come to me tenderly in the June night. I stand at your gate and I sing you a song in the moonlight, a love song, my darling, a moonlight serenade. Thank you. You're muted, Chad.
Okay, we're gonna start the second round of the round robin. CC will do double duty next round. Because I know it seemed like you had a hard time getting in. So welcome back, CC. Happy New Year. And we're gonna go back to Robert Fleming if he has more to share.
Good evening, I'm Robert Fleming, a word artist from Delaware, and I will start with trying to imitate a pose that on the cover of the movie A Star is Born with Judy Garland. Now I will share, continue to share some word art. Coming along. So this is another one in my horror series called Perils. And one of the biggest choices I made in this piece was, if you see where the fingernail is on the hand of the arm, which looks like it's dead, is I wanted to make sure that this fingernail was fully exposed and not blocked. This is a word art with words in it. Last bucket item. When I die, send me to Thunder Bay, Ontario. Thunder is 10 dB volts. Nipigon River revolts. Thunder to 200 dB volts. Give 10 loonies to the First Nation station guard to cross me to recharging station number 8 to charge me to 1.21 gigawatts. I will be Nipigon Lightning. And this is the accompanying image of the hydroelectric plant at Thunder Bay, Ontario. And I will stop right there. And thank you for letting me share more of my submission to Danse Macabre.
When will you find out?
Who can say?
Fair enough. Okay, well, good luck to you all the same. And
Thank-
let's welcome up Miss Nancy Dodson. We'll ask her to unmute and she can have her second round. There you go.
No cares in the square. Read free at all night bookstores. Students harbor avant-garde fashions, blue jeans, old fox fur coats, antique fashions. Restaurant exude pleasant smells and display fine gardens. Vote for equal rights and decent governments. Sign here. Look, car license plates from everywhere. A girl on drugs. I kiss you again. I laugh in your face. She disappears. Musical performances given freely. One hears a great new voice. The price of ice cream and frozen yogurt is up, but the taste is fantastic and the line is long. Take a walk along the Charles. Go to sleep in the park. Almost never a murder, but plenty of robberies. Silver is stolen, and most of all, bicycles. Competition is met with earning degrees. Books are in demand, secondhand. Except for ones at the top, jobs are hard to find. Eccentric behavior is in vogue. I stumble because I know.
Thank you, Nancy. And up next, we're going to go to back to Julian Powers.
A January Dandelion by George Marion McClellan. All Nashville is a chill and everywhere, like desert sand. When the wind blow, there is each moment sifted through the air, a powdered blast of January snow. Oh, thoughtless dandelion, to be misled by a few warm days to leave thy natural bed. Was folly growth and blooming over soon, and yet thou blasted yellow-coated gem, full many a heart has but a common boon. With thee now freezing on thy slender stem, when the heart has bloomed by the touch of love's warm breath, then left and chilling snow is sifted in, it still may beat, but there is blast and death to all that blooming life that might have been. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. And now we go back to the Magister and the de facto Speaker of the House by my rules, Mr. Ed Galt, Magister Galt. You got, we go back now to Mr. Ed Galt, who's got to unmute himself. Okay, there we go.
There you go. Tonight's reading of this poem will be dedicated to Vladimir Putin. It's called War Games. War Games. Mike had a complete arsenal in his room. He had all kinds of machine guns, grenades, rifles, pistols, and even a bazooka. He had a camouflaged outfit and a green beret that allowed him to be the colonel just about all the time. Whenever we reenacted the previous episode of Combat, he brought his stockpile to his front yard. We would select our weapons of choice. Then we would go through the whole battle, just as we had seen it on TV. One night, Mark wanted to be the colonel. Todd was captain. Mark was usually sergeant. I was either a private or a colonel at best when they let me play it all. But that night, Mark wanted to be the colonel. Mike explained all the reasons why Mark couldn't be the colonel. He owned the uniform. It wouldn't fit Mark anyway. He owned all the guns. He was a natural leader of men. Mark said it wasn't fair. Mike called Mark a faggot, then punched him in the stomach, real hard. Mark crumpled to the ground crying. I could see all the tears roll down his face. I had never seen Mark cry before. He was tough. He would have made a good colonel. We didn't have the battle that night. As I walked home that night, I knew I had seen war. Thank you. And take that, Putin. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Galt, Mr. Magister Master. I don't know. Anyway, let us, let's, I'm loving the comments today. Let's go now to Mr. Bill Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chadford. I have had an epiphany, a great idea. It just occurred to me. And you see, I know that I have been very irritating to many people on the issue of street violence and homelessness and all this stuff going on here around. And I look at the number of different things I have done on the topic over the last few years, the number of feedings I have assisted in, the number of homeless shelters I've been at, the number of things I've done, the number of times I have said, why am I doing this? That guy's 25 years old. He can do it. And that didn't make me any friends. And so many homeless groups that I've talked to and trying to make a difference and talk to politician after politician. And I don't want to get to the point where I'm calling them names because that won't get me anywhere. But I've done about as much as I can. And I just have to leave you the way it is. And then I had this idea. The dig. I can bribe Chris Ferrone to write an article about homelessness and street violence. I could just, if I just sent him 10, 20,000 bucks, he would write an article and that would be enough. And then I could shut that up and I could leave everybody alone. So that's my new plan. And not to say that I'm obsessive, but this is a characterization which I wrote in 1969. Oh, one of those years, like a million years ago, for my English class. Maybe I do have an obsession here. He awoke slowly, the stench of the last meal, his stomach rejected, filling his nostrils. He rolled over onto his elbows, his eyes totally failing to adjust to the darkness. The only sound in the building was the heavy thumping of his heart and the creaking of the bed springs. His left hand started pulling paper bags out from under the bed. The dull clink of empty beer cans met his ears. 3 bags of empty cans he pulled from under his bed, not even noticing the cockroaches scurrying around across his hand and across the room. Far underneath the bed, his hand felt a 6-pack, all full. He clutched the bag, ripped one can violently from his companions, his other hand searching for the pull tab. There wasn't one. He stopped to reflect upon the age of the can, feeling the heavy-set rust covering it. He staggered over to the dresser. There was a can opener there somewhere. He met the challenge by putting 2 holes in the top, in approximate opposite sides of the can, all without puncturing himself too. He fell back onto the bed without taking a step down. The beer can meeting his lips at the same time, sloshing its contents over him and down his throat. He guzzled half the can in 3 swigs. He failed to notice the evil taste of the old liquid. Then he dropped off to sleep, letting the last can fall off the edge of the bed, the cockroaches gathering at the spreading sea of beer. A+ for quality, D for typos, really bad typing, as you can see. It's just, oh, you can't see. So anyway, there were lots of typos in there. But anyway, that's what I did, like 1968.
How old were you when you wrote it?
I was just a little thing, knee-high to grasshopper. I was in high school, sir. I was
Oh, high school.
probably a senior in high school.
Thank you, Bill. And up next, we have, yes, I'll stand by this descriptive term of him, the hard-boiled poet himself, Mr. John Wezick.
Okay, I'll read a poem by Dean Costas, who died a couple months ago, and it's called October. In October, living sighed, cats slunk, and the soul brushed against bottomwood bark as though brushes against the mind that it is moored to. Branches writhe like Martha Graham or tide dancers balancing golden headdresses, rain measured by darkening sky, paw prints lead in circles under sky, rust cresting. Finally, a face appears by a broken window. It has come to remind us of the shedding of cells. Colors flared, flare. The personae we were and are dance a pavane of repeating circles, rotating like the earth. Dean Costas.
That's pretty wonderful. Thank you, John. And now from John to Jan, if Jan wishes to go again. There we go.
Okay, I had time to do a second draft. This is called compartmentalization. The CEO of Chemours resigned in protest due to health benefits given to employees regarding abortions, travel, gender. Chemours is a spinoff of DuPont, likely to avoid lawsuits. Chemours makes Teflon, now found in Wales. DuPont is powerful, able to wait for the workers to die that had health problems from working formaldehyde, able to suppress publication for a decade of a book by a history teacher behind the nylon curtain. So 3M sold DuPont something called C8, specifically saying, do not dump in water. Well, DuPont, don't tell them what to do. Sound familiar? The DuPont dumped 1.7 million pounds in the water of Parkersburg, West Virginia. So the animals and the humans are being born with deformities, and when they get teeth, they blacken. So the only ones without forever chemicals and cancer-causing things in the bloodstream for some reason are Korean vets. Supposedly we have 70% less in our bloodstream. So really, I didn't know that forever chemicals were barely being acknowledged, let alone measured. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. And from John to Jan to jam, to a musical jam. Let's welcome back Mr. Ethan Mackler. Thank you, Mr. Mackler. And we bring back again through way of my unmuting her, the lovely Carol Weston.
So I'm reading about myself here in the portable Boog reader. Carol Weston was born in Boston, inspired by all creatures, animate and inanimate. And so the first poem is to the British poet George Barker, born 1913. The title is The Voice That Smashes Glass. My master walks ahead of me. I see into his soul. My master knocks my building down. I have no place to hide. All human speech inhabits him, all poetry and myth. He is the monster of my mind. He is the fire of humankind. He is the voice that smashes glass. He is the ass that turns the world. And that's followed by a poem to the poet Garrett Lansing of the North Shore. What is it about this man of magic? He flows with the tides, keeps in touch with the moon, knows the lives of the creatures, books of the alchemists, rises at dawn. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. And now we bring up for, we'll give him a double round. He's coming out. I can't wait to get his new book, or his book that was released last year at the end, his open mic poems omnibus, I say for lack of a better word. He'll give me a better description. And it was a good 22 for him. I'm sure 2023 will be better. Let's welcome up CCR Chagra.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for changing that name, Bill. I appreciate that. This is the book, and there's only a few of these. I had a couple dozen made, and the rest of them are being picked up at the end of next week. And Chad, yours is on his way. Same with Julianne and everyone else that's waiting for a book. I appreciate that. The website, I found out, is not working that well. So what people are doing now, I'm asking them just to go to Venmo and then email me the address, and I'll get you the book. And I appreciate that little go around there. But it's on the website, which is ccrchagra.com if you want to look at it, or just email me rchagra.com. So back in the day, the very first book, I don't know if you guys remember Aldo Temberlini, he did this cover. He's no longer with us. And the opening poem to my very first book ever published and read at Stone Soup is dedicated to Jack Powers. It's called Lord of Nonsense. The Lord of Nonsense, watcher over listening. Mortal remains choose pen over piano. The candelabra waxed, wanes, burning ideas, illuminating stages, flicker in the mind. Light source attempts to voice human, face pain, breathe life into spirits, lifting wind to nets of poets' work, threading, basting, stitching, binding, weaving tapestries of living, dying. And when poetry dies, it's also in this book. This is a little bit longer. He is dead. He is done. The immeasurable distance between voices and the pages leaving sometimes seems impressive, maybe even lasting. sometimes imposed upon by letters thought long ago lost and burned up by a looking glass. It's time for celebration, a day passing tears over the work of one life lived. Poets and pools of ink-minded hands came with flowers of human experiences, some good, dead, and dry, some just fallen, cut, or stolen from the vine, some wild from a field looking over, sick and tired. At the gravesite, many were crying quotes from backhand whacking rulers of language in a cemetery once wild wood. I wandered away from this like-minded choking air. I caught myself thinking of them carved up into crutches to prop up the footbridge near a nameless headstone, plain as it was clear. And by the footbridge aging, I gathered from the bank of its brook a chunk of granite the size of my hand. I then wrote upon this faceless page 2 words in the simple handwriting style of a child. Love and roses, it now read. I then tossed a rock into the brook and listened to its song, giving birth to chilling birth, a running discovery up my spine, through my bones, and dazzling my scalp. I rose from this quake, then returned to the freshly bleeding mourners. Standing there were the most loyal, feeling alive, numb, empty ones. Nobody here was wearing a sure flesh image, voiced the mirrored granite headstone. Only the castings of their heated breathing spoke of any acting. I then asked of the few still standing, whom, if any, truly loved him. Doubt seemed to answer in a run of dead silence, each face filled with embarrassingly honest fear and concern, of course, for the first who might speak. This dim sky and darkening twilight hour was moving. One woman knelt and opened a book by the deceased. The clouded offering of limited light strained her eyes to work off the page. She cleared her throat and filled her left hand with a fistful of soil, grass, and pebbles. The ritual of her releasing grip only hardened the silent feeling. Her actions rained a knocking on the coffin door as she waited hopelessly, as if the resident were away on a near-death visit and just may come home to open it. She felt alone and down to be a grounded living being without guide to spirit reaching. To bridge these realms by the new grave now, she scattered tears over the words left to her. Strange enough, the piece she read was entitled, I Am Still Here, and I Am Laughter. And a lot of that goes to Stone Soup. So the Jack of Poets is in this book. There's a beautiful broadside. I did a feature at Cobalt Poetry. And you know, when you do a feature, they don't pay you, but Rick Lupert does. I'll put that in the chat. You could download it and print it out. It's a beautiful poster with this poem on it that he made. And that'll be my little turn. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, CC.
The Jack of Poets dealt with the art of voices, feeding you at the end of all moments that die. To guard hunger's right to speak free of truth starving, a recipe to savor the heart of time. The air of soup gives, as the winds of words carry, and they came one by one to this word of mouth feast. Each came to add to the soup's endless giving. Amongst them were those with end of the world ears, questions on madness, on what peace of mind is, for sounds of hope birthing and the soul of words resting deep inside the life of inspiring alive. And so came the contributors with the gift of precious listening, not hungry to share, just happy to donate. No need for a portion of speaking one's poetry. Others to read, saying, I'm hungry enough to be here, my will, eating my own words to stay the crest of my death's resting here upon this stage. To crave what reveals my mind to myself, for you and for me, and for the blank page awaiting what is empty. Admitting my donation here is more than my presence, less than my pride, and beyond my self-importance. As the listeners surround our voices to hear through the quiet mind of receiving, I'd never think so much of my life position, to believe that my life will, to believe my life will, to believe my life will never know such a hunger. Admiring, what courage to admit words in public, to know nothing, and the hand of the voice can still feed you. As the Jack of Poets once said, they are willing to be scared, to give and receive their love, exposed fears, alive for the sum of love, of life, alive for the sum of living, to nourish the lone soul of you and the soul of the planet we die on. I tripped up the end of it, but all that was for you guys and this venue and Jack. Thank you.
Thank you, CC. And now let's end off with the final round, the last round from Mr. James Van Looy. Check out his column, It's All One Thing, at oddballmagazine.com. And if you're in the area, check out the Assemblage Gallery next week for our first in-person feature of 2023, Mr. David Miller. But for now, take it away, James.
Thanks, Chad. So I have a poem here that is from my grandkids. My two grandsons, actually. Minecraft and Minecraft. Minecraft and Minecraft. Out of my peripheral corner eye, I would glimpse the Cartesian grid of the boys, my two young grandsons, as they assiduously stacked and whacked on the way through survival mode code, a build protecting McMansion before the impending nightfall of zombie forms of Minecraft. So soon a cave becomes the easiest way one can live. And there we are right at the start of this vicious circle, stretched out linear, as I said, and implying vistas of infinity, two lines which can never meet, as if these boys, my grandkids, little guys, must live in the vanishing point that ensued when the Gutenberg galaxy of Marshall McLuhan imploded in 1,000 points of light and glimmers down on us where a body slam enforces compliance on the head on bear during the anthem out on the old gridiron, touchy snowflakes in the heavily armed millennial cult. Oh, can the Colosseum save us from the games? Can we survive, driven to distraction? It's a gift to be simple. It's a gift to be free. It's a gift to come down where you ought to be. When we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, until turning we come round a ride. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. More announcements coming up for online features. Tara Betts, whose book was published last year, back in June, I believe, has agreed to be an online feature on February 1st. And it's kind of patchwork because it's hard to find some people who are able to come down to Boston's, but hopefully we're going to get the spots filled sooner than you think. And we have a lot of potential people I'm waiting back on. So we are getting the work done at Stone Soup, and hopefully we'll find some word about the live gathering, the extra in-person gathering at the gallery by the end of this week. Hopefully I'll be able to have a sit down with all the bosses at the gallery, and we'll get a definitive answer on that. For now, 2023 is officially started at Stone Soup. Thanks to David Miller for being our live feature for next week. Hope as many people as you can see it. I'm going to see about doing the hybrid again. Thank you so much. Here's the first wave of 2023. And yes, there we go. You're getting the hang of it, Robert. And I wish you all the best. And more is going to be announced as the week comes to an end. And I hope you guys are all staying safe and well. And have yourself a very good night. This video should be up by tomorrow morning, no later than 8:39. And the Stone Soup Crouton poem for this should be up by about between 8 and 8:30 on Friday. And more announcements to come, more announcements for publication, calls for submissions and such. So stay tuned for that, and more online open mics. The Dyer series from Tim Gager is moving to Thursday this week. I don't know if that's a permanent change, but check out that if you can. And that's it for now. More to come. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. I hope you include the word kernel in the croutons.
I hope so too.
Hey, Tim has Kim Adonisio on the 12th on his readings. You should.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of the name, but thank you. Good night, everyone.
Nico.
Stay warm. Bye, Nico.
Good night.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.